Welcome to the Iferia TechCast, where we bring you all things science, engineering, technology, and innovation. Today, we are joined by John Graham Harper. John is the founder and CEO of LumaFlex, a company revolutionizing recovery with red light therapy. His journey began as a competitive athlete, frustrated by the limitations of existing recovery tools after a knee injury. This led him to develop the LumaFlex Body Pro, the world's first FDA-cleared portable red light therapy device, which has since earned accolades like Time magazine's Best Invention. In this episode, we'll explore the engineering behind creating a powerful portable medical device and how he turned a personal challenge into an award-winning health tech solution. So, John, welcome to the show, sir. It's an honor to have you here today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, so let's dive in. Your story is a powerful blend of, athlete, trainer, and now tech CEO. So it's started, according to you, what I read, started with a personal knee injury. So can you take us back to that moment of frustration with existing recovery tools that sparked where you thought I have to actually build something better?
Yeah, it was an injury from CrossFit, doing CrossFit competitions. Because I competed in rugby first. I was a rugby player, and I broke both my shoulders. And then I went into CrossFit, and my knee was a bit funny, from rugby. wasn't so stable or strong. But I remember I did like a jerk movement, the clean and the jerk. It's like an Olympic lifting movement. And I hurt my left knee, and it just got worse and worse and worse. It got to the point where the knee sitting down was very difficult. Like the pain would be very unbearable for, periods of time when I was sitting. And I left CrossFit. I went into boxing. And after 4 years of fighting, I developed a tumor in my head from impacts to the brain. And I had this big surgery. It was a nice, good little wake up call for me, a good life-changing moment. But that pushed me into medical and creating a wellness product, because red light therapy was something my wife got me to use for my injuries in those days as a competitive athlete. But the device that I used, even though it was effective, it was cumbersome. It was difficult to use. It was like a large lamp that I had to like move around and wheel around the house. Wasn't such a feasible, versatile product, but it did work. So I got very interested in light therapy, and then wanted to make my own, and something that was more portable and durable, and just something that was suited to my lifestyle, where I wanted something to use on the go, anytime, anywhere, right?
Fantastic. So, John, can you quickly give us a brief of what you are building at LumaFlex device? So, what is the device really about? So, what are its functionality, and who should actually use it?
Well, it's because it's a red and infrared light therapy product, right? So what is red and infrared light therapy? It's the best way to sort of understand it is we look back in our early evolution as a human race, and we had a lot more sun exposure as human beings, in the early days of our civilization. We had, and think of the sun. The sun is like a multivitamin, right? The energy from the sun is something that we need, that helps us thrive, right? And we had a lot more exposure before. Like they say, that we're about 95% deficient in sunlight exposure in our time right now, where we are in the world. We're in the digital age, right? And we're under artificial light, right? We're using lamps and neon lights. This is artificial light. So really what red and infrared light is, it's a supplement to our deficiency in sunlight. and it's specific nanometers, specific wavelengths of light from the sun that heal us, that help regenerate our cells, that help us heal and recover, and help us just even with our overall well-being. Like red and infrared light is something that is encouraged to use in the longevity space. If you want to live longer, what you need to energize your cells. So red and infrared light is basically just is solar supplement. You could say it's a supplement for solar energy. And these wavelengths of light, these specific waves of red and infrared light. So as you have the spectrum of light, right? You have red, you have near infrared, and then you've got different nanometers of light in that spectrum. But we just focus on red and near infrared. So these are like, the 600 nanometer range. This is red light. And infrared light, which we can't see with our naked eyes. This is more the 800 and the 900, and then going into the 1,000 nanometer range. And these specific nanometers, they pierce the skin barrier, and they help activate your mitochondria. And with that mitochondrial energy, we get increased blood circulation, of course, ATP, and then a reduction in inflammation. So really, when you're using red and infrared light, you're addressing a condition on a cellular level. So if you have pain like in your shoulder, and you want to put some cream on your shoulder to help it heal, or you want to give it a massage, it's that this is a more of a surface treatment that you're giving to that condition. But if you address that condition on a cellular level and you give energy to your cells, the cells have the power to heal themselves. Like our bodies are incredible. Our bodies are able to heal. They just need energy. And that energy is red and infrared light. So there's many kinds of devices on the market. There's bigger devices that you can buy where you get like a full body treatment. And they're all great, all wonderful to have and to use. But sometimes they can be a bit expensive, and sometimes it's not so feasible to use it. Like if you're someone who moves around a lot, you're at work, or you travel a lot, you may need a portable device. So that was sort of the area that I wanted to focus on, was this niche of a very highly versatile portable product that you could take with you anywhere and give you this natural light healing, for lower back pain, for a headache, or, if you're got sciatica or arthritis, or, or even just for your overall health. We, again, thinking back in early times of, us as a human race, we had a lot more exposure to sunlight, and the benefits was, improved sleep, improved mood, obviously longevity. We had a lot more energy. And then we're sort of in a state now where we are in the world where we're always on our phones. We're always exposed to unnatural light, depression, anxiety. These sorts of conditions are now on the rise, not to mention microplastics in bottles where, we're drinking out of plastic bottles and sitting on car batteries, So we're creating a lot more inflammation in our bodies nowadays. And to combat that, we have tools. There's many different kinds of tools that you can use. And red and infrared light is a tool that I highly recommend people to look into, because again, it's natural, it's non-invasive. There's no negative side effects. So it's something that it's a very easy way to get introduced and use it, and find the benefits. On the clinical side of red light therapy, there's an astonishing amount of clinical research to support red light therapy. And this is for people that are wondering, is this real? Can I trust this? On the clinical research side, there's thousands of papers to endorse the use of red light therapy for very, very serious conditions like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, very, very serious neurodegenerative diseases. In terms of like a bad back, or recovery, or maybe a rehab if you've had an injury. That's very well researched, highly endorsed, and something that I encourage everyone to look into and use every day.
All right, that was a really fantastic response there, John. So, moving forward, the LumaFlex device won design awards from Fast Company to from Fast Company and Muse. So, what was the biggest engineering or design challenge in creating a device that was both powerful, portable, and waterproof all at once?
Yeah, we actually have in total it's 11 awards to date. So we have more design and innovation awards than any other red light therapy company ever,
Wow.
which is quite cool. But
Yeah.
it was about like even the let me get one here. So like the actual size of the product, there's quite an intricate thought process behind the size, because the number one pain in America right now and in the whole world is the lower back pain. So lower back, we want enough surface area to address that pain condition that so many people suffer, but we don't want to go too big to where we lose portability. So even the size of the LumaFlex was actually something that was debated about for about 3 months just to get this exact size, where we felt like this is something that people will still use in their bags. They'll take it with them to work, to the kids' soccer practice. And what we endorse with LumaFlex is touching skin. So the where you get treatment is when the device is all the power that is in the device. See if I turn it on here. You want all of this into your body. So when you do a power reading of a device where you are, say, 6 inches, 12 inches away, the power output drops quite tremendously. So dose is a kind of a very key factor when you're building a treatment device. And we have a 10-minute timer that's built into the battery. And we worked with a 10-minute time frame to be a session. And we wanted to create the right amount of dose from the LEDs into the body to bring about a pain management outcome. So we kind of worked backwards from 10 minutes and encouraging direct skin contact and looking at a wide group, wide group of people, as many people as possible that could get a benefit from a treatment, because then you can use a treatment to develop a protocol. I have this condition. What should I do? Put it on, aim it at the area, aim it at the pain. We say aim at the pain, do 2 sessions a day, one in the morning, one at night, and then assess your pain the next morning. You can build a protocol when you have a session time and you have the optimal amount of dose for, the widest group of people. And then that's kind of like our protocol side. And this is something we go over quite heavily in our education. But then there's also the materials, the liquid silicone, and being able to create something that if you're going to use it all the time, it's got to be durable. It's got to be sweat proof. And hey, why not make it waterproof? Why not make it fully durable? Because the vision in the end was to introduce it to the military, because that was kind of, right now I sell to the military, but when I first started, that was kind of like my North Star, is I wanted to create a durable product that could be, integrated into the military. So it needed to be durable. And another key thing with treatment isn't just having the fixed light on. So that's when, it's just on like this, but also introducing pulse frequencies. And when you look at the clinical database, when you look at all this research, you'll see that a lot of times it's about the specific wavelengths. It's about the protocol, the number of sessions per day for how many weeks, months, but also it's introducing the frequencies, this pulse frequency where the light goes on and off at certain hertz. And those hertz equate to different outcomes. So what we did was we built an app. And the app, I wanted to give the user, sort of empower the user based on the research that's coming, that they can move a slide bar, from 1 to 100 hertz. So for example, PTSD, there's a clinical paper that encourages using a device at 40 hertz to support PTSD. I believe it's 40 hertz. I think it's 50 hertz is for PTSD. 40 hertz, that particular frequency is for women's period pain. And then there's like when you're going down like less than 10 hertz, this is dealing with autism. There's some studies to encourage using this for autism, and also using it on different areas of the body, on the chest and on the gut. So it's kind of, why I think we, won all these awards was it's sort of telling the story of how we put all of this clinical research together, how we kind of looked at the mass market and with the vision of mainstreaming red light therapy, and tried to put all of this into one device, that could be going to retail, to first responders, to military, and even medical clinics in hospitals. So I guess that's kind of, I guess that's a short version of the story of how, the design and innovation of LumaFlex. But there's more products coming, which is really exciting next year. So I might be going for some more awards. We're actually, something really cool is the device is actually a tool that is used in ambulances in Poland. And that's really exciting for me, because it's sort of very much at the front line of healthcare, like someone, is rushing to hospital and they need circulation, they need cellular energy, and they need a reduction in inflammation. There's a device right there that can support that. And it's not a drug. It's not something you're like, what's this going to do to me? Am I going to have a reaction to it? It's not a needle that goes into you. It's just natural light, just at the right dose, at the right, radiance, and the right wavelengths. So very excited about that.
All right. That was a really interesting and detailed response there. So I like to ask, John, what did the R&D phase for LumaFlex look like?
Lots of clinical research, definitely a lot of, and this is still ongoing. I have a wonderful scientist on my team. He's actually our educational director. So he's in charge of all of the coursework and everything. And I actually met him again. We had some time together about 2 weeks ago. And this is where we're planning, the future products, and looking through clinical research and what potentially are outcomes that we can shoot for, that we can push for with the new devices that we're bringing on. And it's not that red light therapy it's just not well known enough. Like where we are with red light therapy is we're just sort of at a phase where it's taking off, right? We're not quite at the peak of the industry right now. So it's thinking ahead of what's coming, of predicting, the future of light therapy in the market, and sort of creating devices now to help bring about, those big changes in the industry. And that's something I'm quite good at. I'm good at foreseeing what I think the future will be. I think in 3 years' time, I think, most developed countries, at least there'll be 2 devices in every home. I foresee that very, very, very confidently. I see red light therapy being used and integrating into our lives, like plane pillows or car seats, or blankets that we put on our bed. I sort of see how this is where it's coming. It's not about us adapting to a product. It's about the product adapting to us and integrating into our lifestyle. And this is sort of phases that every time new technology comes out, or there's a sort of an interest or a trend or an explosion into something, it always starts with devices that we have to adapt to, that we have to take time out of our day, or that we have to kind of build our regime around it. And then later, the innovation brings the product into our life and matches it with our routines and our lifestyle. And that's something that LumaFlex is good at, is I'm trying to create a product that matches what we do, how we live, how we always are on the go, how we wake up, how we go to work, how we go for a coffee or, go to the gym or go to soccer, and then how we come back home. We need to think of products that can fit in there rather than telling the user or the member to, oh, you have to do this and you have to. And it's the same with fitness, right? When you go to a gym or you have a fitness coach or you want to get on a diet plan, those sort of initiatives, when they're able to adapt to you, you have the result. You get the result. If you have a diet plan that suits you, that matches how you live your life, that's where you're going to get a result. But when you have a diet plan that tells you to, eat something you don't like or to go, shopping and buy something you don't normally do, that's usually when you don't end up doing it. You just forget it, right? So it's sort of the same with products, right?
All right. So navigating the FDA clearance process is a huge hurdle for many medical or health tech products. So what was that journey like, and how did you learn about, bridging the gap between a great idea and a legally recognized trusted device?
Yeah, red light therapy, I think, is with the amount of clinical research, it's a good way, at least what the mission that I'm trying to do. I wanted to go for a medical device and give it the credibility, give it the trust, right? And of course, that's a big investment and that's a lot of time. It's paperwork and but it's worth it because you're building trust around it, which is important because anyone in photobiomodulation, we all want to increase the awareness. We want to increase the trust. And I think brands that don't pursue like FDA clearance or that, it doesn't support the credibility of the treatment. But yeah, I personally am very interested in pushing more into medical and integrating the device into hospitals and medical centers and clinics. That's sort of my vision. I don't just want to do a e-commerce or sell it like as a wellness product or a home appliance. I'm looking for more a bigger impact, and that's what that means going medical, right? That's the mountain you have to climb.
Fantastic. So, say for example, there's a student or perhaps an early career professional listening. What has been the most, valuable lesson you've learned from a failed experiment or a major setback on this journey that an early career professional or a student can learn from?
Yeah, I think I get asked this question a lot, all the time. People ask me, even like friends and family, they still ask me this question. It's like, I guess I would put it down to you basically accept that in life there are challenges. You just accept that. Don't think the experience of being a human being, right? This is what we're doing. We're being humans in this experience, in this this game. We're avatars, whatever. Just accept that part of that is the feature of that is challenges. There's a lot of challenges. And I think if you have an idea of, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to do something cool, I want to do something impactful, you kind of are in the game and you're choosing a map or sort of a mission that is full of challenges. It's full of challenges. And there's not like a hack. You can't say, oh, no, I don't. I want to do this, but I don't want to do the challenges. That's the map you chose, or the mission is you have to do the challenges. That's kind of like what it's all about, right? That's what makes it what it is, right? So if you accept the whole challenge, you sort of accept that it's part of it, and you even go further and you embrace that, and you even go even further and you look forward to challenges, then that's the hack. And I kind of figured that out where in a couple years ago, just sort of doing some self-reflection, you could say. And I was like, wow, that's it. That's the hack. That's the thing I wish somebody had told me when I was young and I had my big ambitions. Challenges are basically, you can't in any way control, alt, delete challenges. You can't do that. This is part of the game, and you don't have to play the game. You can do something. Then there's nothing wrong with doing that if you just want to get a regular job. Just live a simple life. But if you want to do an entrepreneur and try to do something impactful, you're basically signing a contract that you accept all those challenges. And the way to hack that is accept, appreciate, and then look for. That's my that's how I that's how I do it. Accept challenges, look forward to challenges. Accept, appreciate challenges, then look forward to challenges. And once you're at that stage, then it's fun. Everything's fun. You love challenges because you know that when you come over, after you overcome a challenge, you have like a big win. And then you're like, oh, I want more big wins. I need more challenges. That's how I get more big wins. So you start looking for challenges. You start looking for mess, and hardship. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. That was really insightful. Accept, appreciate, and look forward to challenges. All right. So, John, looking at the future of health and fitness tech, so what emerging technology or scientific understanding are you most excited about that could work alongside red light therapy?
Well, there's so many great things that work with red light therapy. One that comes to mind right now is stem cells and stem cell treatment, which is something that people are discussing a lot. People will fly to Mexico and do their stem cell treatment there. There's a few clinics in Mexico that actually use my device for post stem cell treatment. Stem cell treatment that's a very interesting, this we call it hack stacks. It's when you have multiple hacks like biohacking and you stack them together. So stem cell treatment and red light therapy is really interesting. Very, very cool to look into. IV treatment and red light therapy as well. Cause now, when we take vitamins like a pill, it isn't actually the optimal way to get our vitamins or to get other sort of boosters or cocktails of nutrients and minerals and that. So IVs are that's an exciting space, IV therapy and combining this with light therapy. Heat and light therapy, like doing a sauna and light therapy together is really good. That's why the device is durable. It can go into those environments. Even cold therapy, like ice baths and red light therapy is also quite cool because vasodilation and vasoconstriction, when your blood vessels shrink or when they dilate, right? You can actually stay longer in an ice bath if you have red light therapy. If you have a device that you can put, which is my one's the only one that can do it. So for for people that enjoy ice therapy, cold therapy like cryo or ice bath, it's kind of a very nice hack stack you can do. But there's so many. There's so many ways. Basically, because of the way light therapy is on your body, how it increases circulation, increases cellular ATP, and reduces inflammation. It's basically the ultimate stack to everything. So adding light therapy to everything is kind of only going to amplify other treatments. And that's anything you do, even stretching, yoga, Pilates, even if you're able to do exercise and train and have red light therapy, your performance in the gym is going to go up. Like there's studies that have shown this as well. Like in the future, people will be wearing t-shirts they turn a button on and the whole thing lights up and this is all coming, but it's there's so much you can do.
All right. So part of the theme of this podcast is centered around innovation. So for that reason, I like to reserve one question on innovation for every guest I have a conversation with on this podcast. So in your work, bridging the physical experience of an athlete with the technological innovation of LumaFlex. So what does the word innovation mean to you today?
Wow, that's a very good question. What does it mean? In my company, we have like sorts of we have a company culture where we have certain things that we, as you know, as the leadership, and then the different departments, we all have to communicate better. We all have to have speed. And I kind of see there's like a list of things that we do in the company. I'm like, don't like these are sort of our pillars of how we run our company. And what I always in the list is innovation. And where I see innovation, I mean, we could talk for a long time about the meaning of innovation, but something that people would can kind of grab and think about, and anybody listening think about this as well, is I see a company can make money and not innovate. Like there's a list, you can be fast, you can communicate well, you can have good action plans, you can execute. There's lots of things you can do in a company and make money. Company can make money. But when you add innovation as something that as a company you all strive for, then you are the best in the world. Like that's when the company goes from just making money to making an impact, to being the company, the disruptor, the creator, right? You get these company profiles where as a team, or, you know, as sort of a fellowship of individuals that all have a mission, are we here to make money or are we here to make an impact? And when you want to make an impact, your brain, you think we have to innovate. We have to think outside the box. And that's sort of when you train your brain to think this way, your vision gets bigger. You have a much bigger vision. You're not just trying to make money, right? Because anybody can make money. You can sell toilet paper and make money, right? You can you can sell just junk, as long as you have the right price, you have a good sales strategy. It's like you can make money. It's good. And making money there's nothing wrong with that. But when you want to make an impact, you have to innovate. Innovate is how, you take a large percentage of the world. Like you look to change the world. So that's kind of like where I see innovate is really thinking outside the box enough to where you make impact on a global scale. But yeah, that's how I think.
Interesting. I get to have a conversation with several people on this podcast, and I ask each and every one of them the same question on innovation, and it's really always interesting to me how different people put the meaning of innovation, and this is another interesting one I've heard about today. So thanks for sharing your own thoughts on that. I really appreciate. So finally, John, our listeners will be eager to learn more. So where's the best place for them to go to find out more about LumaFlex Body Pro and see the technology for themselves, or perhaps a means where they can contact you by themselves?
Yeah, if what I would love is if anyone is interested in red light therapy, like what is it? Like where do I start? Do I need it? My grandma has a problem. Does she need it? I've got an old injury from, back in school. Do I need it? Or can it help with my friend's brain disease? All these questions. And all of these questions can be answered. We've got, we're a product company. Of course, I'm a manufacturer. I sell to now 16 countries all over the world. But what we are as a company is we're an education company first. And this is something that, I went from a product company to now being an education company, and the product comes behind the education. And we built a whole course to answer all those questions. It's the course that takes you from zero to hero in light therapy. And is it something you need, or what is light? What's the importance of light? And all of those things, like I was saying before about, our early history. So we have the LumaFlex Academy, and this academy, in the US, we train trainers in Equinox, Virgin Active, this big global high-end gym. We train their trainers. They all part of this academy. And it's education that we're getting accredited. So if you want to be a physio or a therapist or a personal trainer or strength coach, you you get these qualifications, and we're getting accredited to be in those qualifications. So if anyone is interested in listening to the video workshops that we have online, you can just DM me on Instagram at John Graham Fitness is my Instagram, or you email me at john@lumaflex.com and just say, hey, I want to access your education, and anybody listening, I'll happily give it to you for free. I just need your email, because then I upload it into the system, and then it's all automatic. You get an email to your inbox, and you can learn about light therapy and whether or not it can help your friends, your family, or yourself. But that's usually what I want to always start the conversation with. I was obviously came from a very strong competitive background, and I got injured. It was very nasty at times, but I found healing through light, and how I learned about it. That's what I want to share first is the learning, because it's inspiring. It's really inspiring when you see light therapy, cure diseases and illnesses and conditions that in the medical industry are incurable. Sorry, there's nothing we can do for you. Goodbye. It's like, no, there's still an option. Maybe you don't need the surgery. Maybe consider light therapy before the surgery. And I've seen so many people's lives changed like this. And I love getting the education out. So anyone interested, hit me up, and I'll give you access.
Fantastic. I'll also be sure to link your Instagram profile to the show notes, so that listeners can easily just go there to, directly contact you after listening to this episode. So, John, it's been a really interesting and insightful conversation with you, and I am really excited and honored to have you on the show today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.